Here we are at Darrington Municipal Airport by ORBX, and back in the A2A Cherokee 180. Today it's going to be a quick one. I'm going to do a touch and go, and I'm also going to touch on the autopilot that some of you have been asking about. So I'm not going to hang around too much down here. In my previous video, the first look, you would have seen the walk around, the checklists, the technical details of starting the aircraft. In this video I'm just going to focus on getting up into the air as quickly as possible, and we're going to do a touch and go as I mentioned earlier, and a quick tutorial I guess just on using the autopilot. So the autopilot itself is quite simple and quite realistic as well in the way that it's been modelled. I just got a blast of air then. I think I might have forgotten to close the door. Just make sure I got oil pressure first. Yeah, I forgot to latch the door. Oh well. The door was actually open. The prop blast actually closed it then, almost. Alright, so let's get going. Not going to forget the fuel pump this time. Carb heat cold. Should have been cold anyway. Just a bit rusty. I haven't actually taken this aircraft up in a few weeks, probably more, so forgive me if I missed a few things there. I haven't shown you guys the walk around this time either, or check the oil or anything like that. Just going to get airborne as quickly as possible. So yes, basically the A2A Cherokee 180 has a autopilot modelled as well, just like the Cessna, A2A Cessna. And the autopilot is frighteningly realistic. I haven't actually experienced the real thing, but you'll see shortly when I do enable it. It's quite interesting the way it works, or doesn't work. There's a few different ways to operate the autopilot. The way I'm going to show you is just one way to do it, and the quickest way I've found to do it as well. Quickest and easiest way. Just raise the flaps for now, and just going to taxi. I've told the tower that we're taxiing already. Do a final check. Do the control surfaces, and we're heading on over to runway 10. Wait for the oil temps to come up a little bit before we do our takeoff. Nice long taxi will take care of that for us. The oil temps are off the peg at least. So it's a nice day outside. I believe it's 11 degrees Celsius. On the cool side there. I'm just going to hold up here and announce takeoff. So final check. Being a bit naughty, I'm not going to do a run up. I'm just going to ensure the fuel pump's on. Do not do this in real life. Okay. So pitot heat on. Door latched. Window closed.
102 traffic Piper November 832 Papa Whiskey taking off runway 10 touch and go right traffic.
So we're full rich. Going to take off on runway 10 as I mentioned just earlier. No flaps. We've got fuel, at least half a tank in each on each side. Okay, oil temps are in the green. I'm not going to bother stopping, just going to go rolling takeoff.
Whiskey November 5 free traffic, Cessna November 5 8166 right is 11 miles northwest, 4,500 inbound to land, runway 15.
I have been playing with the AI traffic a bit, so it's probably what that is. runway 15. There's nothing like that around here. Just gonna floor it now, and she takes off without any issue at all. So this is Darrington Municipal Airport, on the edge of the Pacific Northwest region. I think there's a mining area nearby. That's what you'll see here on the left hand side. A little bird life as well. Quite a nice little payware airfield and region here. You do of course need Pacific Northwest installed, and you may have seen one of my recent comments regarding FTX Global on my channel. I haven't actually got that installed. I haven't really seen the need to invest in that just yet. I'm fairly happy with the Pacific Northwest region, so I'll stick with that for the time being. Right, just going to do a touch and go, and then I'll show you guys the autopilot. Okay, so we're on final. Just going to give it a notch of flaps. Coming in for our touch and go. Doing about 60 miles an hour indicated. I am actually running DirectX 10 as well. And I'm actually quite surprised at how well it takes with this scenery and all the add-ons I've got installed. Getting very good frame rates as well with DirectX 10. I get anywhere between 40 to 70 when I'm not recording. Okay, so I've gone full rich. Just announced our final, a bit late, but oh well. Just going to come in over the threshold and try and bring it down ASAP. One notch of flaps, 60 miles an hour, full rich. Come on. That was a bit rough. Okay. Whoops. You can tell I haven't done this in a while. Full power. Just touched 60 miles an hour again. And off we go. Gonna keep the nose flat. Skirt over these trees. And we're doing 90 miles an hour. That's what I like about this plane. It's got some real go when you put your foot down. It's not turbocharged or anything like that, but it's really got a nice aerodynamical flow to it, I guess. It's no stranger to picking up speed anyway. There's the mining area or logging area, I guess, that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so it's time to go over the autopilot. As I discussed earlier, I'm going to show you guys the quick and easy way that I like to engage the autopilot. So down here you've got the autopilot master switch. Flip that and you'll see a whole bunch of Christmas lights go on there, just where you got the turn coordinator. Just got to wait a moment or two for the green ready light, there we go, to illuminate, and the autopilot is primed and ready. So the main thing to remember is, I guess, your heading bug, which I've got here. I'm just going to scoot that over to our heading. There we go. So we're heading west at the moment. So I've turned the heading bug to the west, as you can see. It's important that you set that correctly before you engage the autopilot. Now there's a red button here. I'm just going to press that until I get the heading light there. So press it once, press it again, there you go. So HD has been illuminated there on the turn coordinator. So I've just lost control of my heading axis, or my roll axis. The autopilot is now following the heading bug. So I've already set that, so there's been no difference in the way that the plane's flying. If the heading bug was set incorrectly, the plane would immediately start banking towards the bug. So, which is why I was saying it's important that you set that correctly before you engage the autopilot. Okay, so that's done. So currently the autopilot's holding our heading, but it's not doing anything with our pitch axis. So we've got a little button down here. It's called altitude holds under the red button. So press that and you'll see that the yoke has just sort of skipped ahead. I've now lost all control of my yoke. and the aircraft now has control of both the pitch and the roll, the heading basically. So that's basically it, that's all you need to do. So you see that little blue light has illuminated to show that altitude hold is now engaged. The little yellow light, as before, shows that we've got our heading engaged. And that's basically all you need to do. You've got these two little lights here for the trim. If they indicate up or down, it means that you need to retrim the aircraft. So it's nice and happy at the moment. So not the best example, but I'll just see if I can make them turn on. So let's just say I'm flying along and I haven't set the trim correctly. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to set the trim. We're going to go down a bit, quite a bit. Let's just say you wouldn't fly like this, or you may. So I've set the trim down. There you go. So the lights come on for the up trim indicator. It's telling me to trim upwards. You can hear the RPM of the engine increase there. I better do this quickly. So I've trimmed upwards just how it's asked us to do, and it's happy again. So it's now aircraft. So now the down trim light has come on, so it wants us to trim down. So there's a bit of a seesaw effect there that you got to dial in sometimes with the autopilot. Whoops, I went too far down. It wants us to go up a little bit more. So the up light indicates that you need up trim and vice versa. And it's happy again. And you can see there that the autopilot's not perfect. I've got my heading bug set, but of course the airplane is oscillating from left to right. That's actually built in to the AccuSim engine, so they've modeled the imperfection, I guess. It's not quite precision, and they've modeled it quite well, I must say. So that's a nice little feature, I guess, of the Cherokee. But yes, the autopilot's now holding our heading and our altitude. So if I were to skip the heading bug over to the right now, say I want to turn right, just do that. So I've rolled our heading bug over to the north, and the autopilot is now flying the plane, and it wants us to put in some up trim. That's fine. I'm going to roll it over to about east-ish, because our airfield is back that way. So you can see it's holding the heading, well, not the heading, but the pitch fairly straight. We're not climbing or dropping really, so the autopilot's doing all that for me. I've got my hands off the yoke and it's coordinating the turn. It's actually not touching the rudder, I should say, so you can see there's some slip. I'm not touching the rudder pedals either, as I should be, like I should be, I should say, but that's fine. So really it's just pitch and roll axis, I believe, that the autopilot takes care of, and it seems to be doing it quite well. Want some more up trim, that's fine. And we're almost zeroed back in on our heading bug. So that's basically it. Autopilot is nice and simple. It's not really much to it. I just want to quickly show you guys, we're heading closer to our airfield now. I showed you how to enable, but how do you disable the autopilot? There's a little button here called Autopilot Disconnect on the yoke. You can press that to turn everything off, or you can turn it off bit by bit. So if I was to press that little button there for the altitude hold, like I've just done, I've now regained my pitch axis. My heading axis is still active, so I can't roll left to right, but I can certainly pitch up and down again. But I'm going to press Autopilot Disconnect, and you'll see there the ready light is beeping at me saying, hey, you've got full control of the aircraft, please fly the plane again. And so that's it. I like to ensure I've disconnected the autopilot and turned off the master like I've just done there.
November 832 Papa Whiskey is on final. Runway 10.
So here we are on final, coming in for our landing now. Just did one touch and go this time, and it wasn't the best, I admit. Hopefully we can make the landing a bit better. I've got one notch of flaps on, full reach. And I'm a little bit off to the left here. Apologies, going to try and clean this up a bit. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that quick tutorial of the Autopilot. It's actually very straightforward. And quite handy for those long flights as well. Once you dial in the trim, you're all good. Just going to ease her down now. This is looking a bit better. Flare. Much better. Roll out. Oops. Add some throttle there. And clear the runway. Just going to taxi back to the parking area now. Not going to take too long. Of course we need the fuel pump for landing operations as well, which I've done. That's the one thing in this aircraft you have to remember, fuel pump.
102 traffic Piper November 832 Papa Whiskey runway vacated.
Just unlatch the door there. And coming in to land. Sorry, to park. It's been way too long, I think. Got to take this bird up more often. Right, that's it. Just going to clear the plugs out a bit. Was idling a little bit erratically, that's all. And that's all, folks. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.